From the beautiful Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, this is the Dental Lighthouse podcast. We take questions from anyone in the dental profession and discuss what it takes to win not only in dentistry, but in life. Business, leadership, relationships, parenting, health and wellness, money management, nothing is off limits on the Dental Lighthouse podcast. I'm Jason Tanoory, your host, and have over 20 years of experience to pull from. Learn from my mistakes and let me help you collapse time so you can become the best version of yourself. Yo, welcome back. Dr. Jason here, Dental Lighthouse podcast. Have a caller today, Dr. Greg from Indiana. I'm excited to talk to Greg. He's got some questions about time management. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And even getting on here was almost a struggle with time management.
Yeah. So what Greg is referencing, we had this time set aside to get on a recording. And then, you know, like most clinicians in a busy dental practice, chaos ensues, and a print job fails, or I can't get the scanner to connect to the internet and everything in between. So I'm glad that you figured all that out and we can have the time together.
Yeah.
So definitely. Greg, I would love for you to share with the listeners, like, what your pain point is. What do you think that I might be able to help you with?
Yeah, I think at this point we're just, I'm in a 5-op practice. We're in the process of, expanding, but in the meantime, we just don't have a lot of space, and we're really, really, busy for where we're at. And it's just hard for me to find time to really set aside the CEO time to work on the business instead of just always being at the chair and, just working with patients and, clinically. So I need to figure out a way to work my schedule out to where I can have more, dedicated CEO time to focus on the business. And then also just, continuing to be more systemized. And I just hired a new office manager, as we've talked about before as well on another call. But, just trying to figure out exactly how her role fits in and stuff as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's just unpack kind of what the current situation is. 5 ops, 2 hygienists.
Yeah. We have 2 full-time, a couple part-time. So 5 days a week, 2 days, or 2 hygienists, 5 days a week, essentially.
So you're open 5 days a week.
Yes. And
you're practicing clinically 4 days a week?
Yes.
And you have an associate who is part-time or full-time?
She's full-time as well, Tuesday through Friday. I do Monday through Thursday.
Yeah. So on that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's a lot going on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So is it a situation where you're working out of one room, or is she working out of one room?
Pretty much. It's usually, we have like one that will kind of bounce back and forth between us, and then I'll have my one room, she'll have her one room for the most part. Yeah.
And when you're not working clinically Monday through Thursday, that Friday, are you trying to dedicate that to family time or just getting away from work in general?
A lot of it lately has been actually focused on working on stuff for the new building that we're working on. So meetings with architects, banks, all that kind of stuff, the builder, trying to get that, we're getting close to the end here, at least starting the actual construction process. But a lot of my time has been dedicated to that on the days off, or especially, towards the end of the year, I was even coming in, seeing patients on Fridays a lot of times just because we're so busy and they need to get in for emergencies or, towards the end of the year and things like that. So.
Yeah. So, what is your ultimate vision in terms of, let's say 3-year vision, right? Or let's say once you get into the new space, sounds like you're going to break ground for this new space, which is going to be a really exciting time. When you're in the new space, what amount of time are you dedicating to clinical practice?
I think once we're in the new space, I would like to cut back a full day for sure. And really I would like to get to where my practice is mainly focused, like my own clinical suite, I guess you would say, is focused more on the sedation, wisdom teeth and implants, which has kind of been growing a lot on, while we're in this space. But I can't step fully into that until I feel like we have more space and I have another associate to pick up the rest of the clinical dentistry. Just because I feel like we'd be losing out on a lot. And also, I don't want to push patients out too far. And my current associate also is not doing, endo and things like that. So I'm having to do most of that as well. So yeah, I would say ideally cutting back to 3 days a week, focusing mostly on surgery, having another associate and another hygienist, kind of full time.
Yeah. So I got I got I got a solution. I don't think it's gonna something that you want to hear, right? So I think it's easy to, easy in air quotes. It's easy to say, okay, Greg, we're gonna get you from 4 clinical days to 3.5 clinical days, right? But there's a ramification with that. Every time you say yes to something, you're automatically saying no to something else. So in the short term, if getting you that additional half day per week for CEO time, we can talk about specifically what you would do in that. If that's really important to you, if that's the yes that you want, then there's going to have to be some no's, right? There's going to have to be some repercussions. So what are they? It's pushing patients out. It's you limiting your skill set even more. So for example, I don't know if you do any restorative now, either direct restorative or single unit crown and bridge or stuff like that. If you are, then you would have to start to say no to those things. If the sedation and the surgery and the implants could keep you busy 3.5 days a week. So whenever I'm having this conversation with other founder docs that are in your situation, going from 4 days to 3.5 and then ultimately to 3 is easy. It just means really being limited with what you're going to offer and being okay with the ramifications of just that. So I guess my question to you is, if we said, okay, starting April 1st, you're going to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday till noon, would you be open to that with the realization that with that comes, okay, you're no longer doing restorative or you're funneling it to your associate. Maybe you're sending out endo to a specialist if your current associate doesn't do it. You're not doing single unit crown and bridge because your associate can do it. Like, that's either going to like land well with you, or it's going to be like, hell no, there's no way I would do that. So, and I can't make that decision for you. So, I think we could talk through a strategy to get you to 3.5 days, but can you get on board with the ramifications of it? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, that's definitely something I've considered, and I'm open to that. That was actually when I was interviewing with my current associate, who's actually happens to be a classmate of mine. She, I knew that she didn't do endo and extractions unless they're, simple, flapping in the wind kind of things,
Yeah.
So I knew that was kind of a reality of what it was going to be like, and I was okay with that. And I'm totally fine giving her more restorative. I mean, there was a guy that needed multiple crowns. I told her to, take, yesterday, literally. I'm just like, take them. Like, it's fine. I'm fine with that. But, and to the point too, also, I should have mentioned my Thursday. So I do Monday through Thursday, but Thursdays are shorter. I mean, we're finished at 2 normally. So it's at least, I could have a couple hours at the end of the day on Thursdays, to work on things. But, a lot of times, we have stuff going on after that or whatever, but, family stuff or whatever.
Okay. So again, let's look when the new facility is done. What does your ideal week look like? Is it going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then cut it off?
Probably, or maybe
Yeah.
come in Thursdays just to work with the team on things and sit in my office, that I'll have my own dedicated space in the new office to sit down and actually get things done. But yeah, I think, definitely Monday through Wednesday, or depending on what the new associate, if I, once I do hire another one, like what their hours are. Cause right now I'm the only one here on Mondays. I'd be open to like a Tuesday through Thursday thing as well, whatever, just depending on how the schedule works out.
Yeah. So if I had to give you any advice, you would just have to ultimately decide, how important is it for you to grab a couple additional hours of CEO time right now? And if it's really important to you, and we can talk about what you would do during that time, then I think you need to stop working a little bit earlier on Thursdays or any day. Like, let's just call it a half day. I think it's unrealistic based on the limited context that I have that you're going to take a full day. But if we're going to call it a half day, it could be Monday. Ideally, it's on a day that your associate is there. So it could be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but let's just say it's a half day. So let's just say you put in some parameters in place to make it a half day. So on Thursdays, you're working till noon. What would you then do if you could set your schedule correctly? What would you then do with that found time from, say, noon to what time do you work till, 4 or 5?
On Thursdays, it's
Yeah.
just till 2.
No, I'm saying like what?
Oh, what I work?
Yeah, is the office is closed at 2, or are you just working clinically till 2?
No, we close at 2. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you, let's say you work till 12, what would you do with like that 12 to 4 o'clock window?
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of things I could get done. I have, I mean, obviously working on some of the getting some better structured, meetings and protocols in place for that. Focusing on, getting some more content from marketing and things like that as well. I mean, literally right behind me, I have a stack of mail that I haven't gone through for I don't know how long because I just, and that's probably something, my office manager could be doing some of that as well. I don't know. I'm just so delegating some things and then also taking on more myself in those times. But yeah.
You had mentioned before we got on the call that you understand the value of one-on-ones, yet you're struggling to find the capacity to do them. Everybody's going to have a different opinion on one-on-ones, as you know, regarding my philosophy. I think they're extremely important. We do them monthly on our organization. And I truly feel that if you're not connecting with someone, at least for 15 to 30 minutes on a monthly basis and really trying to get into their head and making sure that they're happy, making sure that they don't have any issues, then there's the possibility that they're going to check out. There's a possibility that they're going to look for other work because they're not feeling heard or they don't feel like they're cared for. And I'm sure you care extremely at a high level for your team, but when you don't have the time to like pour into someone like in a one-on-one basis, then that could struggle. I think that could be an awesome opportunity, that window of time for you to do some of those too.
For sure. Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
What are the chances of you making that come to fruition?
I think it could definitely be done. The Thursdays, I mean, mainly on Thursdays now is, we were doing our full arch implant cases on Thursdays, but since we normally are trying to finish by 2 and we usually go a little later than that if we're doing a double arch or whatever, we started doing those on Tuesdays or Wednesdays and then delivering them the next day we're printing. So, we definitely, I think doing wisdom teeth on the Thursday mornings, just doing 3 or 4 cases of those in the morning or a sedation case or something like that. And then taking the rest of the day for, CEO time would be totally doable.
Yeah, I think I just want to be clear. Like, I don't think there's a great solution here based on the current footprint of your office and the fact that you only have one associate and the fact that you're blessed to be so busy. But the last thing I want you to do is get burnt out, right? The last thing I want you to do is be like, not love dentistry anymore or lose key team members because they feel like they're getting run ragged and they feel like they're not heard and all of the stuff that comes with running a tremendously successful practice like you're running. So yes, in 2 years or whenever it is, when the new facility is done, like awesome, it'll take care of itself then. But I just think that you should try to create a little bit of capacity now to kind of pump the brakes a little bit so you can check these boxes now. The last thing you want to do is kick the can and say, well, I'll do that when I'm in the new space, and the wheels kind of come off while you're waiting. Does that make sense?
For sure. Definitely.
Yeah. What else on your mind?
Yeah, that's the main thing, just because like you were saying, like the burnout, situation, I definitely feel that some days. So trying to avoid that. I got a long time ahead of me. So
So why don't we do this? So I'm going to hold you accountable, Greg. Again, this is your rodeo, right? And I can only advise based on my own scar tissue and personal experiences. But I think it would be a really good idea to pick a deadline into the future, April 1st, July 1st, and say, okay, by this date, I'm going to have the schedule of X. And in my opinion, if you could figure out a way to at least gain or lose 2 to 3 clinical hours in a given week, that would really free you up to do some of the things that I think are really, really important. Now, it doesn't even mean dedicating it to work. Like if you were to gain 3 hours of non-clinical time, maybe an hour and a half of that on a weekly basis is dedicated towards one-on-ones and some systemization. And then an hour and a half of it is dedicated to, going for a run or just going to swim or, hanging out with your kids or like whatever it is. Right. But and I've been there, brother. When you just work your ass to the bone and you kind of tell yourself or you lie to yourself, you're like, well, it'll take care of itself once we're in the new facility. It's when some bad shit happens. So just come up with a plan, come up with a date, and then just dedicate yourself to it. And I'll be there for you, like at whatever point that you need to kind of coach you through the little nuances of it. But it's got to be you making the decision that, okay, this is what I'm going to do because I know it's for the betterment of me personally and for the office long term.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Anytime, brother. Don't hesitate to reach out as you're trying to figure this shit out because it can be really difficult.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, brother. Yeah. Thank you so much for the call, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. That wraps up another episode of the Dental Lighthouse podcast. You have a choice today. Choose to be a lighthouse. Lighthouses are powerful and steadfast. They are beacons of light for others to reference when life gets turbulent. Go out into the world today and become a lighthouse for someone. Give more than you get. True joy comes from serving others. Start today. I'm Jason Tanoory, your host. Thank you for listening to the Dental Lighthouse podcast. For more information, podcast show notes, or links to anything that we have discussed today, please check out our website, thedentallighthouse.com. We would love to hear from you. If you would like to get on the show, please email us at podcast@thedentallighthouse.com.